PvP has a problem that isn't anyone's fault, but I think I have a way to fix it. Burnout is normal, it's healthy, it means that you're growing accustomed to the challenge of a game, but as the less devoted players leave Destiny, who remains? Have you found your games abnormally sweaty lately? Like, not your average stompy hunter wearing Ace of Spades shotgunner, I'm talking like an entire team of armed to the teeth players. And before anyone gets nasty in the comments, as humankind is so prompt to do, is to blame one another, this isn't any player's fault. It's quite possibly not even Bungie's fault. I have an idea on how to fix it. It's bold, so stick with me on this because I first need to dissect the problem. What you're seeing here is two games. One game I was just solo, just trying to shake off the general boredom by running some weird and wildly off meta weapons. And in doing so, I came across a team that absolutely beat the crap out of me. In my other game, I was with a 6-stack of other TDT players, and it was one of the best experiences I've had in Crucible in a really long time. This first team I played with clearly had high-skilled and experienced players running gear that everyone knows to be some of the best and most lethal gear for Crucible meta. I left the game because I just simply didn't have the tools necessary to contend with them, nor was my Blueberry patch going to be more coordinated than a stack of players who probably have Trials cards with frequent flyer miles on them. After I left that game, I bemoaned my struggles to my other party members who were off playing other games, loaded into another control match, only to find the exact same team midway through mercy rolling a team I had just joined. The temptation at this point is to curse either the enemy team, Bungie's matchmaking, or maybe my own bad luck, but is that fair? The stacked team is trying to load the dice because they're having to face other just as stacked teams. It's never healthy nor appropriate to blame players for just trying to win at a competitive game. Competitive game in quotes, especially when they are by all marks being good sports about it. No exploits or scummy ungentlemanly tactics, hell, not even a teabag. These players were at the end of the day just trying to do the exact same thing I was trying to do, have fun. Winning is fun. And as the player population dwindles, only two parties will remain in Crucible. Number one, brand new players who know nothing about the game or have any expectations, or number two, veteran players with over 4 digits worth of game time. As the game ages, the bracket of skill necessary to compete and to succeed gets harder and harder and narrower. These players are just doing what they need to do to survive. It's not worth being salty or toxic at, because if I was trying to have fun and I wanted to try to win, it's exactly the same thing I would be doing. But how is this not Bungie's fault? How are they not to blame for this? Surely they could make better systems or better rewards to keep more casual players in the game. Of course, systems could always be improved, but is it fair to Bungie when the system works 90% of the time? The problem becomes evident when we are on the last 10% of time before the next expansion, when all of the casual players have found other things to occupy them and the hardcore start fighting other hardcores more frequently. Hell, even myself, who does content creation for this game, has been playing Don't Starve Together because it's just a good palate cleanser. And while lobby balancing could be improved, I feel like that is just a micro issue to a macro problem. When both teams are playing the same game, so to speak, the lobby balancing works pretty well, all things considered. In this other background game you are seeing, I was in a game of Control that went to a tie. When is the last time you have had that happen to you? It was an incredibly tense, close match, and it was a lot of fun. There have been many videos discussing improvements or suggesting changes to the way that Crucible incentivizes players from content creators I respect very dearly. None of them are poorly thought out or wrong in any regard, but I think we may need a way for players to find an asymmetrical experience to fill that 10% void. In layman's terms, something that players can do that is different than the normal playlist to act as a sort of in-between appetizer to the next expansion's main course. What we need is custom games. But Bungie obviously isn't going to give us custom games while they are so close to releasing Witch Queen. Players could probably simulate this experience, but it would require both a coordinated team as well as a wide enough player pool or audience to fill. Oh yeah, TDT has the coordination and the spark to get this going, and all you need to be is the flame. I'm calling this idea Fight Forever. The goal is to create a perpetual motion machine of private matches, a 24/7 lobby of normal 6v6 control, where the only rule is no top 20 weapons. That means you will be able to play a game of Control without having to deal with an Ias Luna, an Ace of Spades, a Chaperone mapping you, that dude with the Jotun hitting you from around the corner, a Charge of Light stacking Llama Narc. You don't have to deal with Crimson's Flinch or DMT's Range. You can be the weird specific brand of 11 herbs and spices that makes your Guardian unique without having to run the most competitive gear in order to win. This is not to throw shade at the players who do run the meta, but rather to give a place for both broken and unbroken players alike to have an arena where they don't feel the pressure to perform at their peak in order to have fun. We want to give players an environment where they can be weird and unbalanced, because if we're all honest, that's why we love Destiny. It's weird and it's unbalanced and it feels great. I want to be the change that I want to see in the Crucible, where players are encouraged to explore the creative side of Destiny. But there are some necessary setup and ground rules to go over before this gets up and going. In the pinned comment, you will find a list of Bungie IDs. These Bungie IDs are from TDT and other community members in TDT. As of the time of publishing this video, they should be sitting in orbit with their fire teams set to public. Once someone has enough players to start a match, about 6 to 12, they will launch you in. All fire team leaders only have one rule to follow: kick any players running any weapons, exclusively weapons, we aren't banning anything else, that are listed in the top 20 of most used kinetic and energy weapons. You can find this info on the Charlemagne bot, which we have on our Discord. Many Discords have Charlemagne, using the /meta PvP command. If a fire team leader has to leave for any reason, maybe they're just done for the day, they will hand leadership to another player they feel is the most competent. Maybe somebody who's been on top of everything, has been good with lobby balancing, or whatever it may be. If you are handed leadership, make sure you post your Bungie ID as a reply to the pinned comment so people can find you and they can join you. I encourage you not to post your own Bungie ID unless you have been handed leadership. We want to try to have as few as lobbies as possible while still being able to fill player need. That way we don't have empty lobbies. With enough players in enough time zones and just a smattering of coordination, this could theoretically continue to run until Witch Queen. Is that going to happen? Highly unlikely. Will it be fun for at least a few games? Absolutely. If you are a content creator, a streamer, even if you are the smallest, tiniest 2-follower, 3-follower little streamer in the world, I encourage you to stream. Get a community involved. To help keep things running smoothly, there are a few things I suggest you do. Number 1, run a Crucible emblem and mark it with your KDA. Try to balance your teams according to this KDA in between games. If you're taking a stacked team in, you might not be able to fight with them to pub stomp the other lobby, but rather you get to fight your own team to see who's better. Do not, if you are a leader, do not kick players unless they are obviously hacking or running one of the weapons in the top 20 list. We consider adept and non-adept weapons to be one and the same, but obvious substitutions are fine. For example, if you really like Palindrome, you could maybe run Annual Skate. Make sure if you are given leadership, your privacy settings are open to the public and that you post your Bungie ID to the reply chain. And like I said, don't post your Bungie ID unless you already have a lobby with you and you've been handed leadership. If you aren't comfortable with giving out your Bungie ID in public, that's totally fine. Just pass leader to somebody else. If you are unable to join someone on the list, maybe they're full, go to one of the next names on the list and try again. I will be joining lobbies throughout the week and featuring the most creative builds I can find in a video. So if you are planning on rolling into one of these lobbies with a different variant of shotgun hand cannon, you are almost guaranteed not to get featured. And lastly, the only thing I ask if you are planning on joining up into one of these lobbies is to share this video with your other Crucible friends. Not only does this help support us here at TDT, but it also makes getting everybody up to speed much easier. If you're new around here, make sure you're subscribed and leave a like. I hope to catch you in a private match. Bless your faces and deuces.